My name is Branco. I live in New Jersey. I live probably about uh, 15 minutes from New York City, from Midtown Manhattan. Um, on September 11th, 2001, I was a I'm an IT consultant. So I had a customer in the World Trade Center, and I was with them. I didn't work full time there. I worked there probably 3 or 4 days a week. The summer before, we had a pool put into my house. So being a consultant, I could kind of go to work a little bit later, had a little bit of flexible schedule. So the week before, Bob, the vice president who I worked with, said to me, "When are you going to come back in early?" Summer, I was kind of going in late. I said, "Bob, I'll be back in on Tuesday, one of my normal days in the city. I'll be back in early on Tuesday morning." So that morning, September 11th, it was a clear blue sunny day, not a cloud in the sky. Air traffic controllers called it severe clear. You can basically see forever. No clouds, no haze, no nothing. It was a beautiful, bright, sunny, crisp day. I was at my desk 7:30, quarter to 8, and about quarter to 9, I was in the south. I'm sorry, I was in the south tower on 78th floor. So you would take an elevator from the first floor directly to my floor. So if you worked on 80 or 82, you would take a nonstop elevator from 1 to 78, and then you would take a local to go up higher. But in my case, it was right up to my floor. It's very convenient, very easy. So I was at my desk about quarter to 9, and I felt a little vibration, kind of like the air conditioner kicking on, but not really. I didn't think much of it. So the first plane came in from the north. It came into the North Tower from Boston. My view was the southeast view. So my view in the building was Brooklyn Bridge, Manhattan Bridge. So I couldn't really see what was going on in the other building, which got hit first. Excuse me. So out my window, a couple minutes later, I saw papers flying. And at that height, you're not supposed to see much. We were 800, 900 feet in the air. We were pretty up there. There were other days we were above the police helicopters, above the blimps, above the Cessnas. There was one time we were there. I was there. It rained on the ground, and we had sun all day long. We were above the clouds. It was freaky to see that. About 2 years ago on the New York City News, One World Trade Center, half of it was above the clouds. I'm like, I kind of remember doing that. So like I said, we were on a sky lobby. So when I saw the papers, I went out to the elevator bank to see what was going on, and somebody said Tower 1 got hit by a plane. I thought a little Cessna. I thought it was a two-seater plane. Usually lower Manhattan is windy, that he got pushed into the building, and it's exactly what I thought. I went back to my desk. I called my wife, real quick conversation. I bought a sports car in the summertime, and this is a Tuesday, so the weekend before I wouldn't let her drive it. So we were kind of arguing a little bit, and it's kind of a funny thing. Now that you think about it. So I called her at work, and I said, "Listen, something happened in Tower 1, got hit by a plane." And try to lighten the mood and stuff. She goes, "What, the moron didn't see the building?" And I said, "Listen, I can't talk to you now. And what does she do as an adult? Hangs up on me." And we joke about that now because we can joke about it now. So the plan was, I was with 4 other people. The plan we had was to go downstairs, see what's going on, and go back up. So I was going to the elevators with Steven, and he said to me, "I forgot something in my office." And I said, "I'll see you downstairs." I don't remember any, I got some memory loss up there. I don't remember any panic or any urgency, but I couldn't tell you. I went out to the sky lobby, and it was jammed because, like I said, if you worked above us, you had to come down to my floor to get on the elevators to leave. So the sky lobby was jammed with people coming down. I got lucky. I got an X elevator. I don't know if these women there was a 1993 bombing. World Trade Center was first attacked. There was a bomb put in the basement to try to get the one building to tip into the other one. So I don't know if these women were there in the 93 bombing or not, but I got a next elevator with them. I got pushed on or dragged on with them, but I got on these 5 or 6 women, they had their arms locked. The elevators were big. They held 50 or 60 people each, and they went down 800, 900 feet in a minute. They went down very, very fast. So the elevator, we were in the elevators, and the elevators went down. And I remember being in the elevator, and everybody was yelling, "They're going back up. They're going back up." And I'm like, no, it does this every day. They go down very fast, but then they need to slow down in order to stop at the first floor, at the first level. So we got down there, the doors opened up, and my exit would have been Liberty Street. Look, right outside, there's revolving glass doors. Those doors were locked. There's all debris outside. It looked like a war zone outside. So building security basically made us out. The first level of the building was building access, and then access to the mall, the shopping mall. So building security basically pushed us out through the shopping mall, into the shopping mall. I remember being but kind of keeping us away from Tower One. I remember the police yelling, get out of the building, get out of the building. And I'm like, but building security is pushing everybody in here. Like there was no rhyme or reason. It was like complete chaos. I ended up walking through the mall. Again, I don't remember any panic and stuff, but it's the timeline is completely shot in my mind. But I was a block away. I ended up walking through the mall, exit by a pizza place. I was a block away. I was on Church Street and Barclay Street. I was on the corner and I turned I didn't really know where I was, because when you go to work somewhere, or you go to school or whatever you do, usually do it the same way. You drive the same way, you walk the same way, stuff like that. So in the building, when I worked in the building, I went into work the same way. The company I worked for bought lunch every day. So I never even went outside for lunch. I knew where nothing was in the area. So when I left the building, I had to figure out where I was. So I got on a side street and I turned and I said, oh, that building at the end of the block, 2 blocks away, looks familiar. I took the train in that morning, the PATH train, the ferry in, from New Jersey. So I said to myself, the ferry's right behind that building. So I started to walk there, and that's when the second plane came in. I never saw it. I was too close to it. I felt it on the ground. I felt the pressure from it. I felt the heat from it. I was behind a federal building. It looked like the federal building rippled. I think it was like a sound wave or something like that. We are into 100 Church Street. There's an entrance on the side street on Barclay Street. And ended up going through that lobby and ended up back in front of the building. In my mind, if the buildings fell, not kind of how they did like this, to kind of topple over for some reason, I needed to be far enough away. I ended up walking 5 or 10 blocks north, I guess you can say. At some point, I turned around and looked at the buildings. Because the buildings are so big and Manhattan is so tight, if you're too close to something, you can't see anything. You only see what's in front of you. That's just how it is. So maybe I got 5 or 10 blocks away and I turned around, I saw both buildings. And I said to myself at one point, how did the fire jump from one building to the other? Because I didn't know there was 2 planes. couldn't even tell you what I knew at that point at all. I stopped a couple of times to call my wife. I walked through Manhattan. I probably walked up to Jacob Javits Center, which is 10 miles or so, trying to get the ferry to New Jersey to get across the river, because I live in New Jersey. And I got up there, and so I knew there were ferries up there. And somebody said to me, I was looking for the ferry line, and the guy goes, the line's down there. The line stretched for 19 city blocks of people waiting to get on a boat. The boats hold about 200 or 300 people. And that's how many people, tens of thousands of people, were trying to get to New Jersey on a boat that holds 300 people. I got lucky. The Circle Line boats, they're bigger boats. They started donating boats, and I got up there. I got on a third boat to New Jersey, and I walked about 16 miles that day, 15, 16 miles that day total. My wife picked me up 2 or 3 miles from my house. It was there's a documentary by Tom Hanks called Boat Lift, I believe it is, about the largest boat rescue in the world. If you had a boat that holds 4 people, they will let you come over, take 3 people, go to New Jersey, or get them off the island, Manhattan Island, because Manhattan is an island. But it was an amazing thing. I was home by 2:30 in the afternoon. So let me talk about what's there first. So this is One World Trade Center, new building, at the height, 1,368 feet, which is the original height of Tower 1. And then at the roof line, at the top of the spire, 1,776 feet tall, representing the year we signed our Declaration of Independence from England. That's what that represents. This is a memorial at night. This is a rendition. This is not what's there completely. A couple of buildings a little bit different. This is kind of an older slide, but this is a shot of the memorial. Again, it's a rendition. The pools are there, the museum's there, a couple of the buildings, but it's not exactly completed. Believe it or not, 20 years later, they're still working on it. This is an actual picture of the memorial, which I'll show you in a couple minutes. This is the memorial. So the way the memorial is laid out, there's two memorials called, they're waterfalls, the largest man-made waterfalls in the world, and they're actually in the footprints of the original buildings. The first drop is 32 feet, and then the middle drop is 15 feet. They're basically infinity waterfalls. there is a bottom, but you can't see the bottom. So they're technically infinity waterfalls. Okay, so the people I was with, this is why I do this. Okay, and to educate you guys what happened, but this is why I do this. Okay, so like I said, I was with four other people. Joe Mara Campbell, she's on the left. Her son Jake was 10 months old that day, and he crawled that day for the first time, and she never saw him crawl. Joe was Joe was a secretary, and when I was leaving, she was on the phone trying to figure out what was going on, and she didn't get out. Bob Levine in a blue shirt was my boss. Kind of an older guy, kind of stubborn. I used to tell him all the time. I knew he wouldn't leave. When I was leaving, he said, "Where you going?" I said, "Bob, I'm going downstairs to see what's going on." He's like, "Come on." I said, "I'll be back." He didn't get out. And Steven Weinberg, Steven was with me. Steven had 3 kids, and he didn't get out. He called his wife. He was on the phone with his wife when the plane came in, and we were the impact force. The plane hit from our building from 74 to 84. 77, 78, 78 was primarily, and higher were the impact force. So Steven didn't get out. The other person, little lady, was Ruth. I didn't know Ruth. She was with the company for 2 weeks. I didn't actually know her. We had all of 77, half of 78. So I didn't know I didn't know some of the people, especially the newer people. I didn't actually know. But she was with the company only for 2 weeks. Some pictures of the memorial, because this is where it becomes important to me. So these are my friends' names. So Ruth is here, Stephen, Bob, and Jill all together. This is it's kind of hard to see. This is the memorial at night. It's actually beautiful to see at night. If you guys ever get a chance to come here, go during the day, but go at night. It's just actually magnificent to see at night. This is the plaza, the memorial again. These are all the trees, swamp white oak trees. They all come from areas no terrorism. They come from New York City area, Washington, D.C., where the Pentagon got hit, and Flight 93 from Shanksville, Pennsylvania. Survivors tree. This tree represents the approximately 15,000 people who got out of the building. It was a tree found in the rubble in November of 2001, planted up a tree farm in the Bronx, brought back and replanted on the site in 2011. And it's the first tree that blooms in the springtime. It's amazing. All of the trees look barren, just like this picture is. Okay. And the tree stands out completely. It's just an amazing, amazing, amazing thing to see. I always go see it at the end of March, April. It's my favorite thing in the world to go see. Some pictures of the buildings. The tridents over here are in the museum. That's where they came from. Survivor staircase. The plaza was raised. So if you were outside the plaza, you had to go downstairs or something to get off the plaza. So a couple hundred people got down the staircase, which is in the museum. Basically got off the plaza going down a staircase. So that's last piece of steel. This was taken out of the site in May 2002. It was signed by rescue recovery workers, first responders, construction workers, and it's in the museum. The picture on the right is actually in the museum. It completely stands out in there. The cross. It's a cross that represents, gave the rescue recovery workers hope. Not necessarily a religious cross, but it gives them hope of, might find something, things might be better, however you want to look at it. But that's in the museum. These always amaze me. Kind of hard to see in here. This piece of steel here is supposed to be straight. You can see this down here. Okay, by the pressure and from the heat, that piece of steel melted. Same thing here. This was supposed to be straight. And just by the pressure from the heat and everything else of the jet fuel and the building contents just laying on the steel and it cooking for a long time, it basically turned into this. Ladder 3, it's a fire truck in the museum. It was found outside in the rubble. One of the walkways collapsed on it. All 11 guys from this fire truck were actually in Tower 1 when Tower 1 collapsed. So nobody from this company actually lived. This quote. So this is on a wall. It's kind of my favorite wall. My wife's an art teacher, and she likes this. No day shall erase you from the memory of time. It's a quote by Virgil. It's made from the steel of the building. And if you look in the background, the blue, on September 11, 2,977 people were killed. And on February 26, 1993, 6 people were killed. So it's kind of hard to see in this picture, but there are 2,983 individual panels on that wall. And there's 2,983 different shades of blue. Don't ask me how they did it. Okay. But it represents every single person who died on both attacks. And to see it in person, it's just something else. See. Okay. There's a room called In Memoriam Room, and it's a picture of everybody who died. We went in during a construction and museum. A friend of mine brought us in, and I went into this room without any pictures on, just panels. And there's 2,983 panels in this room. And I said to my wife, I said to my wife, I can't imagine pictures on these panels. And we went in on opening day of the museum, and there was pictures on there. And these are the people I was with: Bob, Jill, and Stephen. Ruth, I don't have. Like I said, I wasn't with Ruth, but these are pictures that I have of the people I was with. And this happens to be 10 years later. I'm glad I got to update this. But this is, I've ever seen the tribute and lights. The tribute and lights shine up on September 11th at night to honor. This is actually old because Tower 1 is actually not even open yet. But yes, it's old. But lights go on every year, September 11th at night. They're blue lights. They shoot up into the sky, and it's just an amazing thing to see. It's an amazing tribute to see, and they do it every year. I think starting, I forget when they started it, but at least a 10-year. They've done it every year.
Thank you so much for sharing with us. And I've already gotten some student emails, and I'm going to go ahead and turn on the chat. And if you guys have any questions, please go ahead and put them in the chat. But one of our kids in Italy wants to know, you had discussed about, you had gotten kind of into like a friendly argument like the day of. Can you talk to the kids about any type of survivor's guilt that you might have had, or living each day and trying to live to the fullest in each day?
Survivor guilt. I have survivor's guilt. I have a lot of survivor's guilt. My survivor's guilt starts the middle of August, like clockwork. And for some reason, it goes to September 10th, September 11th. And I deal with it. I mean, I feel like I left somebody behind. It would have been, I should have, would have, could have said to Stephen, just come with me. What's so important in your office? But I didn't do that. And that's part of my survivor's guilt. But I've dealt with it. I did 19 anniversaries, or because it's 20 years. So with that said, this year was worse. I don't know. So what happened? Let me go back a step. I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought. So every year on September 11th, we go to the ceremony. So my survivor's guilt is bad until the morning of September 11th. I wake up that morning, we go to ceremony with my coworkers' families, and I feel good. And the reason I feel good is because I'm going there, not for me, I'm going for them and to support people I know. So that's what helps me. This year was different. This year, I don't know if it was the 20 year, not the 20 matters, because every year is important. I just wasn't in a good spot. Survivor's guilt was horrible. That morning on the 11th, I didn't want to go. I didn't tell my wife I didn't want to go, but I didn't want to go. But if I didn't go, I'd have kicked myself for a year. I had to go. And the day turned out okay. It turned out okay. But what I'm going to tell you, part of Ralph's second question was, you got to enjoy life. You got to enjoy what you do. You guys are young, appreciate your family. I know it's hard sometimes, but you go home and give your mom a hug, because you don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. You don't know. I mean, sorry, I haven't done this in a while. You don't know what's going to happen tomorrow, because these people went to work and they didn't come home. And I don't mean to make it sound horrible, but that's what happened. People went to work, and I didn't work in I wasn't a police officer or firefighter. My job wasn't life-threatening like these guys are. And we went to work, and my friends didn't come home. So you got to appreciate what you have. You got to appreciate your family, your friends. Don't sweat the small stuff. The small stuff, you'll learn that the small stuff really is small stuff. There's a lot of things you can worry about in life, but don't worry about the small stuff. That's just, no. Okay.
One of the kids, and that's wonderful advice. We really appreciate that. And I think the kids definitely need to hear that, especially nowadays. But one of the kids wanted to know, how did you kind of, because obviously you as well as your wife have been very active in the 9/11 community and active with the museum. How did you guys help out after the events? Like how was the local community coming around to help support efforts?
We mean right after, like after
Yes.
9/11?
Yes.
Um, we didn't do much because I wasn't in a position to do anything. But I can tell you, everybody helped everybody. I would go into Manhattan to go to work. Different. Cause I was consulting. I work with different places. So, you go into Manhattan, or we'd go in just to do something, or even somewhere local. What can I do for you? How can I help you? What you need a bottle of water? You need directions? You need me to walk you somewhere? Everybody just helped everybody. And that went on here for months and months and months and months and months. I remember going into Manhattan, January, February, March afterwards. And it was still the same way. Somebody asked for directions, you'd walk them to where they wanted to go if you knew where you were going. It just, everybody helped. I mean, there was so much, people just came together, whether it be down there, because people came from all over the world to help down there to do rescue recovery. I mean, there's people from all over. And that really continued with, days and weeks and months after that. Volunteers would go down there, and guys are walking on the street and give them a bottle of water. Go volunteer. I was in no shape to do any of that, but people did that just because they wanted to contribute somehow to helping the rescue recovery and, just being human, I guess you could say.
Absolutely. And if anyone on here is interested in supporting the 9/11 Memorial Museum or wants to learn more about their museum, it is in the chat, and you guys can check that out. And it'll also be in here in a video link for anyone who watches after the fact. So we had another question from some of the students that wanted to know what kind of life lessons did you walk away with? Like, did you feel like you were a changed person from before that event to after that event? Because obviously that is a major life-changing thing to go through.
Yes. So I've always had a small business, and with a small business, you work a lot. I work all the time. But my daughter was also on 9/11. She was 7 years old. So with my job, I can kind of be flexible. She needs something done at school. I could help in school. I can do, here and there. What that taught me was you can't work all the time. You just can't do it. So afterwards, I started being more involved with stuff, being home when I needed to be home more. Not that I was doing less work. I was probably doing the same. I was just trying to, I guess you could say, juggle it better. Prioritize would be a good word. Kind of prioritize my family to come first. And that sounds a little weird, but before that, they were there and I did what I had to do, but I like to kind of call it a life-changing experience. So, I basically realized, they come first, and whatever they need, I can push off what I need to do, whether it be go to my daughter's school for an hour and help them sell books, or, do a fundraiser, whatever the case may be. It really kind of gave me a life lesson that, I need to be more involved with them, and my wife needs something, or help a friend out, stuff like that. So it was kind of a life-changing experience. You can say that.
Absolutely. And you kind of touched on this before, but we have a question from Jan in Spain. And I just unmuted Jan. You should be able to ask your question. Go ahead.
Hi, good afternoon. My question is, how were the following weeks after the attack?
They were hard. I mean, we live up 2 blocks away from a cliff overlooking New York City. And a lot of people were going up there. I was in no shape to do anything. I was going up there and stuff like that, but it was hard. I went back to work on Monday, I guess I did, but not in New York. I was in New Jersey, and it was hard to function. I mean, I had a lot of problems. It took me a couple of weeks to kind of get back to things. I mean, and I don't even mean sound like that. It wasn't that quick, It took me a while to get back to things. I mean, the week after, I can tell you this honestly, my wife needed to get me out of the house, and she brought me to the mall. And this is probably a week later, maybe the weekend after. This was a Tuesday, and I didn't want to be there. And she went into stores. I stood in the mall and I looked at everybody, and I didn't care what what you were you white or black or whatever you, male or female, it didn't matter to me. I hated you. And I hated myself for doing that, but it took me a while to get through that. And so the weeks after were hard. I had a lot of support. My friends were around, definitely, but you can't lean on everybody, and you can only lean on them so much. So it was, including my wife, of course. But it was rough to kind of deal with it. It took a while.
Absolutely. And we can't imagine that. And we really thank you for sharing your story with us today. There seems to be an underlying tone of living each day and appreciating those around you. So before we let you go, is there any advice you could give to these kids as they kind of figure out what kind of person they want to be as somebody who lived through such adversity? Could you impose any of that advice on this next generation?
Try to be a good person. Try to do what's right. Try, there's a lot of things going on in the world, and it's not a political statement. There's a lot of things going on in the world, and just try to be nice to everybody. That's kind of what it comes down to be. I mean, people in general aren't that bad. Just it's kind of the effort that you put into it. I can tell you back then, 2001, 2002, everybody was nice. It didn't matter what you were, or who you were, or what you were. It doesn't matter. Everybody was nice to everybody, and that is, that's my recommendation. If you could, just go out and be nice. I mean, things aren't that bad. You can't. I don't know. I think I'm losing my track here, but things aren't that bad. And just help your friends, help your family. Like I said before, go home and give your moms a kiss tonight and tell them you love them, because you don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. And to me, that's the most important thing that you can remember.